Think about, service calls, just little things that, guys are out in the field and they've got to make a quick decision. And I want them to make that decision. And, there's the worst thing that could happen to them is that they fail and that they're going to learn from that mistake. But people who are not afraid to make decisions, they go a long way with Texadia. We encourage that. That comes from the top down, from everybody in our team. Is it's okay to make a decision, and if you make a mistake, it's all, even if that's okay, but just try not to make the same mistake twice.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? Putting your employees first sounds odd, right? I know it's important to a lot of companies to really make sure that their employees are taken care of, but are they willing to put them first? Do they put them above their customers? Well, in this whole COVID-19 issues, I've seen a lot of companies that are trying to put customers first. I've seen many companies putting employees first. I can tell you, I really appreciate those stories of those putting their employees first. We have to continue servicing our customers during this tough time. Even if you're in businesses that are not essential, you're trying to figure out ways to keep growing. But I do believe that putting employees first means something in leadership. This doesn't come from just me. It actually comes from a lot of the research I have across many founders, CEOs of the fastest growing companies. They're willing to put their employees first. So this episode is dedicated to why that's important, some of the details behind that, and we have a special guest today, Steve Burke. He's the founder of Texadia Systems. They're a design firm in the residential and business market where they really are great at putting employees first. They've grown to over 10 million since 2013. I share all this with you because I want you to understand who they are and what they've done from an impact level, and not just take this employee first as something that you think you should do. I want you to think about how you can move forward as a company and with a culture if you really do put employees first and what that means. Today's a special interview with Steve. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Now here's the interview with Steve. Before we dive into the interview, I wanted to remind you that you can actually get a tool that I've been working with clients with for the last couple of years. I've refined this tool that's gone through several iterations. Now we have it completely automated. You can actually go online and fill out the leadership quiz. To get the leadership quiz, just go to theleadershipquiz.com. That's pretty easy, right? Theleadershipquiz.com. What you will get when you do that is you will answer a few questions. You will see where you rate based on the core principles of fast growth companies. If you're ready to grow your company or you want to see where you are, then make sure you go to theleadershipquiz.com. Inside it, you will get insight to where you are, understand where you want to improve, and you will get them mapped into the 10 areas that are most specific to fast growth companies. Again, go to theleadershipquiz.com and you can get that right now. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good, Gene. How are you doing?
Fantastic. We're here to talk about your company and leadership and growth. You've had some tremendous growth over the last few years, but I wanted to back up a second, let our audience know a little bit more about you and the company. Tell us about Texadia Systems.
I'm happy to. Texadia Systems is a full-service design-build audiovisual integrator. We have two businesses that we really focus on. One is commercial and one is high-end residential. We started back in 2013 and have grown to over 10 million in sales in the last 6 years. So we feel like we're very fortunate and have been excited to have been a part of this fast growth.
Well, I know that you have, and I have talked before about what really was the catalyst for that growth. And one of the things that we came up with was really talking about the importance of the people in the organization. How many employees do you have?
Right now we have 52.
And when I say the importance of people, every leader goes, well, all people are important. All of our employees are important. But when you talk about your business growth, why do you say that your people are the most important aspect of that?
Well, it comes from years of experience and doing things. But, you know, people are, they're a culture, they're a heartbeat, they're a pulse, and they're a moving part in a big machine. And with what we do, from coming in to learn about a person's problem, to trying to figure out how to solve it, to trying to deliver on that, and then service and maintaining it. There's a lot of things that have to go right for us to be successful. And uh, I firmly believe 100% that it's the people that we have working for us. So, um, you know, I I've done this for almost 20 years, and one if one piece fails, you can lose a client, you can lose a customer. And what we're trying to do is get people in the right lanes, in the right positions where they can be successful, empower them to make decisions and deliver on the high standards that we have at Texadia.
That word empower is a really strong word that a lot of leaders want to make sure that's a part of their culture. When you think about empowering others, what steps do you take to make sure that happens? And I'd love to get really detailed here on this empowerment.
So it's a combination of a lot of things, but from an executive leadership group, it's something that we talk about. And I'm kind of a big picture guy, but when I hire somebody, I always tell them, like, I have no interest in doing your job. And that's a nice way of saying, I want you to be accountable for making decisions that are going to affect, this company. And empowerment is difficult because a lot of people are, don't feel comfortable with that responsibility. But once they get it and they know that they can impact the operation of the company, it's a positive thing to see. It's a positive thing to experience, and it's a never-ending struggle for us. We try to get people that genuinely care about other people, about our clients, about the financial well-being of the company. And if we can get those behaviors, then the empowerment can, it's a little bit easier once they understand the why.
Steve just said something interesting. Empowerment is difficult. Did you catch that? Well, it is difficult because you've got to learn to let go. You've got to learn to trust. You've got to learn to really allow others to make decisions for you. And you've got to allow them to fail. And those all are very difficult pieces to their growth and to your growth as a leader. When you think about empowering someone, it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to actually be intentional about it. You have to allow them to make their own decisions. You have to allow them to sometimes go another path, even if you know it's not the right way. Why do I say that? It's because you want your employees to feel this sense of empowerment, not just because it's just the right thing to do, but truly believe in themselves, believe in their ideas, and be willing to test them all the way to the end. I'm not saying you need to put yourself or the business in danger, but give them a chance to really grow. Give them a chance to really put forth everything they've got and empower them as employees. Back to the interview.
I had asked you my impossible question. I think you chuckled when I asked you that because it was a hard question. But as a leader, what's more important, your customers or your employees? You remember what you said?
I do. I said my employees, because without my employees, I'm not going to keep my customers. And so, that's pretty easy. And going back to, why I started this, and what was, a driver for me was, I've been in sports my whole life. I love sports. And I found out early, unless you play tennis or golf, you are going to be working with others if you want to be successful, right? There's 9 players on a baseball team, but you've got relief pitchers. There's 22 guys that start on a football team, and then you've got special teams. Every single facet of those games played a role in how I look at leading people. And, you know, I strive to use the word we because we really are a team, and we want people to feel like, you know, we're paddling in the same direction, we have the same goal, and we want to achieve the same thing. So it sounds easy. It's incredibly difficult. It's constant, you know, meetings to get everybody on the same page, talk about our core values, talk about things that, you know, we want to get everybody doing.
I love the sports analogy and inside of leadership because to me, I know it may be only a male thing, but I think some female will understand this. You take football, you want everyone to play their own positions, right? You need those running backs just as well as you need the offensive lines, and everyone has a position, and you have to empower them to make those decisions on the field. If you're the coach, Steve, you can't make that decision for them, right?
I cannot. No. And, you know, think about, you know, service calls, just little things that, you know, guys are out in the field and they've got to make a quick decision. And I want them to make that decision. And, you know, there's the worst thing that could happen to them is that they fail and that they're going to learn from that mistake. But people who are not afraid to make decisions, you know, they go a long way with Texadia. You know, we encourage that. You know, that comes from the top down, from everybody in our team. Is it's okay to make a decision, and if you make a mistake, it's all even. That's okay, but just try not to make the same mistake twice.
Hold on, Steve just said something interesting. He's not afraid to fail, but he also means he's not afraid to let his employees fail. He knows that that's the path forward. When we talked off the record, he talked about some of the things that he's seen in his journey as a leader. And it really is very much like my leadership. You probably yours too. We got there through adversity. We got there through failing forward sometimes. And it was hard, but we did it our way. And that's what you want to let your employees do. Figure out a way that they can fail without putting things in jeopardy, but also grow from it and really build their confidence, build their courage, and their ability to make those decisions and trust themselves. It's a critical part of their own growth, and it will pay off in spades for the company. Back to the interview. I love this analogy too. You know, a part of what we're talking about here, Steve, and we haven't discussed it in these terms, so this might be new to you, is you're really encouraging them to think like entrepreneurs. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, with my sales team, you know, I say, listen, man, you're the CEO of, you know, Trent Godby Inc., and this is your business. How are you going to develop it? What I'm here to do is help support you and help grow your businesses in any way I can. But it's those are the people that are successful. It really is trying to understand, let them understand. You know, what are the financial implications of doing this, right? You know, we strive to do the right thing at all times, just because we take a long-term approach to how we work with people. You know, we're not going and trying to buy a job. We're trying to build a lifetime commitment with somebody and be their trusted partner, and you know, be there when they need us to support them. So it really is an entrepreneurial way of approaching it, and people. Some people struggle with that, right? Some people aren't entrepreneurial, but you know, we spend a lot of time trying to get them to understand, you know, not only the impact on the company, but the financial impact, and you know, I think we'll continue to do that.
Now, a lot of people that have this kind of attention to the employee and growth have also another element that we haven't talked about yet, which is transparency. Um, do you feel like transparency is an important part of your culture and the reason why you guys have grown?
I know it is. I'm preparing now for our all hands meeting tomorrow, which will be our first one that we've done over video conference. We built out a new demo facility. We had a room specifically built in for our employees because we communicate to them quarterly on what we're doing right, what we need to improve, the financial success of the company, and to reward employees who, are exceeding the expectations of what we're trying to build for our organization. So, I firmly believe that, employees want to know where the company stands. They want to know about the big wins, and we share those internally. Every time we have a win in the company, I send an email out, and then I attach the lyrics of some random song to see if they actually read it. But we had a win today with a regional hospital, and I threw out a song by the Little River Band. So we try to make it fun, but we also want to celebrate success and let everybody know how we're doing.
Steve, I want to take this a little bit different area because I think a lot of organizations also want people to develop and grow and be empowered, but they also have some critical standards that are necessary, the quality of the work and the quality of the relationships that they're building. And you have a saying that you repeat quite a bit. I won't test you on it, but be the bar. What does that be the bar saying mean to you?
So there's when you take a bunch of pieces of equipment together and you put it together and you make it work and you throw programming around it, it's a difficult task. And what we try to get people to understand is that mediocrity and cutting corners isn't something that we tolerate or that we want. We want it to be the best. We want to provide the highest quality to our customers. We want to provide high customer service. Are we perfect at it? Absolutely not, but we strive to be the bar, right? And just to give you an example, our technicians provide daily reports on the work they complete. They take pictures. We use those pictures on social media. We have contests that reward the technicians based on the pictures. They take some great photos, and we want people to know what we're doing and how much we care about, the quality of it, and that that we're able to support it. So I just think it is something that we start at the top, and it's just a full circle with how we communicate it to our clients, and then our technicians communicate it back to us that, hey, we actually want it. We want it to be great.
I know it's not a completely new concept, but empowering your employees to take pictures of the job and to be able to post them in social media. And I imagine it creates some camaraderie and some little bit of competitiveness on, the quality of these pictures and how well they do. Am I guessing that right?
You are. So, we've got 3 platforms we use for social media, right? Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so based on the number of views, they're trying to get the most views, and they'll get a financial reward based on that. So, I know that they're very competitive about it. And, you can just see it in their work, the photos. But, if you take a picture of a rack of equipment, you can genuinely see that these guys consider it a piece of art, and it's something that they really, really care about. And so we want to brag about that. We want to share that with our customers, and let them know that that's really important. So it really is. It's impressive to see.
Steve, I used to talk about this a lot on stages, and I haven't talked about it in a while, but what you're talking about is a really good example of that, which is a concept of internal brand ambassadors. There's a lot of companies like Nike that will go out and hire a Michael Jordan to be a brand ambassador, and that's good. I mean, I'm sure that's done well for Nike, but you've got a group of employees that are basically internal brand ambassadors that are so proud of the work they're doing, a part of the mission, a part of this work, and they're showing it through these pictures. You really are seeing some benefit probably internally within the culture of the company. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is. And it's twofold. So, we actually share these communications with the client, right? So you're, in the middle of a $500,000 construction project. There's a lot of things a lot of moving parts. And so we're able to communicate to the client where we stand, any things that might have prevented us from being successful. And, the employees, can also use that for, hey, we need some help here, right? We're supposed to be done tomorrow, but the walls aren't painted and we have no power. We can't be successful. And so it's really elevating the communication cycle, if you will, and trying to make sure that we can meet our deliverable. And so those are things that we incorporate, from an empowerment standpoint, from the employee, as well as, trying to be the best possible communicators we can be.
One final question, Steve. You have some counterintuitive kind of approaches and strategies to leadership. We talked about one last week about working for others. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Well, you talked about, let's go a little bit different direction on this. One of the other aspects of this was about failing. I know we talked about a little bit about that here today. Why is failing within the culture considered okay? And I know this is not a failure as in catastrophic, whatnot, but a step forward, a lesson or a mistake. Why do you think that's so important for the growth of the company?
Well, I know it's important because it shows that you can take responsibility, right? That's one key thing, that we want you to be responsible. And as you go through and you I think about my personal journey to starting my own company was filled with a road full of mistakes. And, at some point you take all those things and you put them in, your pot, and you stir them around. You're like, holy cow, I can fight through this. I understand what adversity is. I know how to lead. I know how to listen. And I feel that, that's one thing that, we're okay with. And so when we set that expectation with people, I think they feel more empowered. I think they feel more comfortable knowing that they can try to do the right thing. And, once you have a group of people that do that, it really is, it's a fun thing to see. And we strive from our service group to really, it was one thing we worked on. It was a SMART goal of ours last year. And the gentleman that runs that group really did a bang up job. But he also, he took it upon himself to try and improve that. And I think 9 out of 10 things I thought were great. One, it's like, hey, maybe we can try this approach, and we worked through that. But that was on him. That wasn't me. That wasn't our VP of operations. That was him taking responsibility. And so it really does go down the line once you can enable people to do that.
Steve, thanks for being here on the podcast, sharing your journey of leadership and culture. And Texadia's, culture is really, something to be proud of.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you making time for me, Gene. And this was fun. So thanks a lot.
I love episodes like this where we can go deep into it. We can hear some of the stories of this leader's journey through leadership. You probably have had an amazing journey too. If you think your story would be a great fit for our podcast, make sure you reach out to me. I'd love to get to know you. If you're growing fast, probably there's a story behind that. If you're not growing fast, but you still have something interesting to say, I'd love to hear from you too. Make sure you reach out to me, Gene@GeneHammett.com. I love stories about employee first. Hopefully you do too. We put some details in here that you can actually model from. So if you want to get the principles of fast growth companies, make sure you go to GeneHammett.com/principles. That'll get you the 12 principles of fast growth. We've analyzed this across many interviews, over 100, and we've come up with the top 12 principles of fast growth companies. So get that now. Just go to GeneHammett.com/principles. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.